So we're the last thing between you and the cocktails. So therefore, luckily, it's only a 30-minute panel. We're going to make quick things, and everything has been talked about, especially the history of Silicon Valley, the last talk, and rolling backwards, the hub panel that Numan was in, and then the rolling backwards, Cem Soysal's exponential technology panel. Fantastic. So what we'll do is we'll summarize and pull some important parts that have not been talked about enough, and then wrap it up. Maybe also have some comments and questions from you, because we've been talking to you all day, so maybe you can talk to us too. Hopefully there's going to be time for that. Well, I'm going to introduce the panelists, but this last Silicon Valley talk was a very nostalgic talk for me, because I started my career in Silicon Valley in 1982 with a startup that led me eventually to Apple, where I worked 11 years, where I met Steve Jobs and Bill Gates when they were 25 or something. So that was like a special time. And to really experience the first wave of Silicon Valley. And the point is that we can't really beat Silicon Valley. The question is how quickly we can catch up, and can we build technology companies that could have worldwide success from other places? But I actually want to focus on Turkey and compare what things are necessary in our own market, since we're all Turkish here, if you guys agree. So to help me with this, we have a great distinguished panelist, starting from the end, Ussal Shahbaz, who is the innovation lead in General Electric in Turkey, who used to work in TEPAV, so he knows the corporate side and the corporate innovation side and the government innovation side. He's going to help us with that. And then there's Chad Khan, who works for Blackbox from Silicon Valley. And Fadi Bushara was fantastic this morning. He was very inspirational. Thank you for that. And then hopefully we'll continue with some of that vision. And of course, there's the infamous Numan, who was the first VC in Istanbul and Turkey, and who has a lot of vision about, okay, what makes Turkey go fast, and how can we actually, let's compare ourselves not only with Silicon Valley, but maybe the Middle East, maybe Israel, maybe Europe, which is closer to our reality in a way, since we heard so much about Silicon Valley. But before we get into that, since the question of the panel is, what makes can a successful technology company emerge outside of Silicon Valley? I just want to clarify the definition to say, we're not talking about like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple. Like, we're not talking about this Uber, Airbnb, just these huge unicorns. Because they come every once in a while. They don't come too often. And they usually come out of Silicon Valley, unfortunately.
Spotify,
well, maybe Israel,
Stripe, I mean, it's
yes,
changing.
Yes,
it's changing.
Yes, it's changing. You're right, you're right. But I'm talking about a successful technology company. It could be going into a vertical market. It could be, a $50 million company, but a successful company that has sold outside of its own market. One example for that is Airties, and another example are artists. We're going to talk about that. But let me ask you guys first. What makes a successful technology company? Start with Numan.
I mean, again, I will look for what the successful technology company from the investor view.
Yeah, investor. You've seen technology companies.
I mean, it's basically a successful technology company for me is that starts with a small team and then know their business and continue to grow and get more and more customers and complete this growth or continue to grow exponentially within a short time of period.
Have you seen any interesting, cool, cutting edge, not just, I don't mean to minimize the e-commerce startups here, please don't take me wrong, but our topic is more the technology IP, not just internet startups, but technology IP startups, and that's why I'm saying, have you seen any interesting ones?
We are seeing quite a lot. I mean, we invested some of them, I mean, but again, it's coming up there, and there's everywhere.
Right, right. You, Chad, what makes a successful company?
So,
successful tech company.
Tech company. Well, I would say it's also the things that make a successful company, and I always tell entrepreneurs that there's 6 things that they absolutely have to get right. It's the vision, the team, the product, the market, the business, and the culture. And with vision, it's you know, we talked a bit earlier about the importance of selling, but you have to be able to get people to believe in the future that you're trying to create. You have to know where you are, where you're going, and why. Your strategy has to be clear, and when you can tell that story effectively, it helps you build your team. Because you have to have the people, the capital, the resources to actually make that vision a reality. And it's important for any team to be able to do something that nobody else can do. And that helps you deliver the product.
But that's for every startup, isn't it?
It is. And
so what makes a technology company, what's the key thing for a technology company? Maybe Usal could help us with that as well.
I'm going to tell you another story. You finish.
Do you want to give us a case study?
I have
okay.
another story.
Case study.
Yeah.
Artists, maybe.
You finish, I'll tell another story.
Yeah, I'll let you finish. Sorry, yes.
And with the product is making sure that the technology is solving a really high value problem, and not just a nice to have problem, and that there's some defensibility when they enter the market
I think let me tell you the story, which is I find it embarrassing, but a few years ago, DLD did a small event in Istanbul, and there were videos. Sina Afra was leading it, and the guy by then, the CEO of Turkcell, they asked him, what is the best startup in Turkey? And he responds, it's Turkcell. So I think a successful tech company is the company that is aware of the realities out of what's happening in that sphere.
Yeah, good point. I actually, before coming to this panel, I talked with the Turkish company Airties. They do network optimization, and they have a box that optimizes multi-platform things. So they go into the IPTV markets, television content markets, and I find his owner, Bülent Çelebi, is actually they've been in business for 13 years, and they have 95% of their sales is outside of Turkey, which is very amazing. And they haven't even gotten any venture capital or an angel investment or anything.
They did.
They did? He told me they did.
Invest US is a PE based in
New
York.
Yeah, but then they didn't get any, I mean, since then they've been...
Yeah, but they had initial angel investors like Ziya Bey and those kind of stuff.
Yes. One of the early angels, Ziya Bey Jigüler, merhum, he has invested in Airties. And Bülent Çelebi is now part of Galata Business Angels. But the point is that Airties, he said to me, I said, what's the key success? What's the key for your success? And he said, like, do you want to be a painkiller or a vitamin? Okay, if you're really solving a real pain in the customer, okay, if you're a technology company, don't be the vitamin, be the painkiller. So if you're really solving a pain that a customer has, and if you also patent so that your risks are mitigated, if you patent your technology so that your investors like it, then you have a chance. You have to have a real differentiation. But did you make any mistakes? He said, yes, we did mistakes because we didn't optimize our market or the product. We first went after emerging markets in India and whatever. I said, why is your sales 95% outside of Turkey? He said, well, because it goes, we found out that our product is good for the advanced Western markets, not for India and Turkey, which don't have multiple devices in their homes. So your product market optimization, which was, I think, your point, has to be taken care of. Any other case study like that of a technology company? You guys mentioned Artis.
Artis is one of them. I mean, Artis is basically started as a spin-off from the Arçelik, one of the White House goods manufacturer in Turkey. And they basically made a device or solution that connects to the electric wire with the three-phase connection cable. And then based on the voltage and the usage of the electrical power, they can understand which part of the electrical machine will break and when. They can estimate the time and they can estimate which part will gonna break because of the vibration of the machine. And they basically start selling to NASA, US Navy, British Navy, and a lot of different companies, all oil platforms and all those kind of stuff. And then later GE actually bought them. I mean, you may have invested, and then later actually they have some stuff. But I mean, again, there are some good technology companies coming out there, but the key thing is when you have those key technology, you need to know which market to sell and where to sell.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the
Airties.
Airties happen, or that's why they shifted their model. Or similar thing, I mean, look at some company like Udemy. Right?
Udemy, which is the education,
online education portal. I mean, the founder is Turkish, and if he had it in this one in Turkey, he wouldn't be that big and that prominent market player, because market is not there yet in Turkey. I mean,
but Turkey is an 80 million people market.
Yes, it is.
And they need technology, they need solutions. There is a lot of pain in Turkey, so why isn't there, you know, why are we saying they always have to go to outside?
I think it's not 80 million is not a large enough market. If we are talking about, you know, multiple X VC returns that, you know, global VCs are looking for. If it was China or India, yes. Yeah. But otherwise, these markets, Turkey, you know, Mexico, Brazil, these are mid-sized markets.
Yeah, mid-sized markets is the biggest challenge. I mean, that's why I mean, in previous panel, we also said the same thing. I mean, you have to be a regional player. You have to know your market very well. You need to know who your customers are.
Yeah.
Then you have to address their needs. I mean, you were saying the same thing, customer fit.
And there's another component too, is that behind every successful tech company is an army of people behind the scenes. These are like mentors, people that have helped them really figure out that, you know, sometimes it's just connecting with the right person that helps you realize that you position your product in the wrong market, and can help you figure out these things so that you get on that path to
That's what you guys do at Blackbox, and that's what I liked, elevating the entrepreneur. I like that line, and it's really an impactful thing to do. And there are a lot of accelerators everywhere, including Turkey, including Israel, including Europe, to do that. But what is it that you guys do different that sort of really helps that entrepreneur get this vision?
A lot of it is really kind of peeling back the layers of the onion and helping the entrepreneur understand why it is that they're doing what they're doing, and then making sure that they have the team around them to support them in that, and figuring out where those gaps are. Because there's another thing that every company needs access to really high quality talent to actually execute on the vision, and just getting that pool of talent together and the support network together to support the entrepreneur is really critical, so that it's whenever every entrepreneur starts, they're never the person, the leader that they need to be to get to the summit. And there's always people along the way that help them level up, and that's what we specialize in doing.
Okay. Well, let's focus on Turkey a little bit. So, like, we've heard a lot about Silicon Valley. Let's focus on Turkey. You know, we have a growing ecosystem in Turkey as well, right? We have Galata Business Angels was the first angel investor, and 212 is the first VC. It's been around for 6-7 years. And you, Usal, have been part of the government, and now you're a corporation. So what do you guys see is the missing in the Turkish ecosystem that helps, assuming that we have really good technology, right? For example, I just saw outside Mobilus, which is in video, which they have done this baby monitor thing that has that takes picture. They have really good algorithm. In fact, I'm going to ask them as well. I think the entrepreneurs, yes, there. So, but just first, I want to get your input. What do you think is missing in the Turkish ecosystem, and what are the opportunities? So, what's missing? What's the opportunity? Quickly.
Let me tell what's missing, and then we'll discuss the opportunity and all the other missing parts. What I have seen in different parts of this ecosystem is that they don't really know each other. The entrepreneurs don't know the corporates don't know entrepreneurs. There are extremely big power distances, both within these structures and between them. And they basically don't speak the same language. That's a very big problem, and this is a problem which you cannot solve with money.
But aren't the accelerators and the incubators and Starters Hub and all these things, aren't they trying to solve that?
They do, and that's what they should solve. You know, that's their task. But I find, honestly, especially, you know, in my new position, in new role for the last year, the Turkish corporates are very old-fashioned.
Right.
You
We're going to
really
get into that.
cannot,
yes.
establish a well-functioning ecosystem with this corporate structure.
Right.
What I have found is most of them, honestly, are more bureaucratic than
Yeah.
the government.
I want to get into
Yeah.
the corporations, but let me hear Numan's point as
I
well.
mean-
What's missing and what's good?
I don't know if there is any one thing missing. I mean, the key thing is I think we have to take a step back and look what's happened. I was just listening to the previous presentation here. I mean, he mentioned that in '58, government started giving the match to funds for 3-1, and then 1978, government basically dropped the capital tax from 49% to 28%. I mean, in Turkey, a couple of years back, the government also did a similar thing. If you are a shareholder more than 2 years, you pay 0 tax. Or in 1979, in US government, they just did the Security Act for pension funds so that they can invest to the VCs or PEs.
Right.
Now, just last year, 2016, Turkish government released a new law so that Brace Elementlik, which is like a retirement fund, can invest, has to invest, not can, has to invest minimum 1% for the alternative investments like your PEs and VCs. So I think those things happening, yes, there is about nearly 40 years delay. But
Yes.
again, we are in the emerging market and it takes some time. I think now the role is for us, entrepreneurs and also investors. If we play our role well and if we continue to build the system properly, I think the rest will come.
So you think we're young, that's why...
We are young. I mean, if you compare with Silicon Valley, we are like, maybe if Silicon Valley, you can think about 20 years old
Yeah.
human. I think Turkey ecosystem is only 3 or 4, even maybe 2. Seriously.
What about Israel? How old is Israel in this?
Israel is very different animal. I mean, if you look, for example,
Because you
again,
guys
you
said-
like the examples. I can give you one example. I was working in Goldman and Goldman Sachs in New York office, and we were investing in NIF technologies and looking for the NIF technologies. There was one company called Visera. They came to us, and then they were selling the product for the virtualization, protection of the virtualization machine, so that you can have that virtualized machine in a hostile host. So anyway, we had back-to-back meetings, nearly bi-weekly meetings with them to understand their product, test it, so we can use it within Goldman Sachs. And after 4 months, literally 4 months of bi-weekly meetings, after like 4 months later, in Tel Aviv, and they were flying every 2 weeks to New York to meet with us to basically present their product.
Yeah.
So it's a different mindset. Different thing, because their market is there. Yes, Israel, I mean, as you all know, I mean, they can't sell anything to anyone in their
Yeah.
region. So only market they have is the US. So you position yourself and based on there, and you position on the different kind of markets.
Yeah, I'm going to get to the corporations because that seems like our maybe the next generation opportunity for us and hasn't been enough talked about. But one last point about, because Black Box gets entrepreneurs from everywhere, right? And then what do you think that they lack that Israel or Silicon Valley entrepreneurs have more of? Is it the business experience? Is it the global vision? Is it the you know, not just being the techie, but also having a business that
So
these companies from outside of Silicon Valley lack?
the things that Silicon Valley has an abundance of are just innovative ideas. Even like the bartenders in Silicon Valley are really innovative and creative. It's the talent to actually execute on those ideas. There's just a ton of talent there. And there's a ton of capital. And the thing that doesn't get talked about a lot is that there's a ton of support for these entrepreneurs and huge volumes of cycles. So it's like I've worked closely with the founding teams of over 60 startups. And you know, not very few people outside of the Valley have the opportunity to work with so many startups. And when you do that, you start exercising the muscle where you start recognizing what works and what doesn't work. And I think that just ramping up the number of startups that entrepreneurs do is really critical in terms of developing that muscle memory. Because it's, at the end of the, particularly early stage, it's more of an art than a science, and you have to...
Which means experience.
It's the experience, right? So I think anything that the corporates or the government or universities can do to accelerate the repetitions and the experience will
Well, my
dramatically
experience
improve
in
that.
Turkey is that I see a lot of I don't see a lot of very interesting cutting-edge technology startups, but sometimes I see some really good ones, some geniuses. But I sometimes find that these young people don't have enough world experience or enough marketing experience. I mean, they're a technology genius, but they don't have a marketing experience, or they don't have a financial experience, or so it's a matter of education too, as well, right? Would you agree to that?
I mean, tell me, I mean, I don't know, we have a lot of Turkish people. I mean, I studied in Turkey, I went to college in Turkey, and first time I did presentation in my life was presenting my thesis, graduate thesis.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
and my son, he started going to school in US. In the first year, literally first year, he had to do PowerPoint presentation to his class.
Right. So there's some of that. Let's get into it, because we don't have enough time to get into every subject deeply. But Usal, when we were talking earlier, you were saying that, and I agree, corporate partnerships. I mean, we talked about how governments need to be supportive in the previous panels as well, and what should governments do. But what can corporates do, since you're now an innovation? What are some of the things that corporates should do that they're not doing, or what's the opportunity there?
Let me make an analogy to the government,
Okay.
and then come to the
Yeah.
corporates. I think the Silicon Valley experience shows that the government supports have been successful when they create some platforms and some demand. That has been the case with all these ARPA programs. That is the case now with the Department of Energy programs in the US, where all these renewable technologies are, developed. So governments provide, free money to entrepreneurs. That doesn't really create an ecosystem. The platforms create the ecosystem.
And sustainable programs,
sustainable
not one-year program, not two-year program,
Exactly.
15, 20,
That's
30
what
years
Americans
program.
did. That's actually what Israelis did. Now, coming back to the corporates, it's a very similar case. Of course, corporates don't have the economic development mission that governments have, but the platforms that corporates create now also are beneficial for the corporates themselves, because of the very structures that I just mentioned, which are not particular to Turkey, which is the case in many countries, including the US, innovation within the corporates is failing.
Innovation. Maybe corporations have to get into open innovation.
Exactly. That's what they are doing. The closed innovation paradigm is collapsing now. GE itself, let me talk about my company, it has 5,000 engineers with PhD degrees in its global research centers. They are doing brilliant things. 90% of the products are not on the market because they are not looking to the market when they are developing the products. They are, working with a university mentality, research for the sake of research. That's not a viable model anymore. That's why GE are now looking for innovation outside. But, I mean, you can't look for innovation on a street. You need tools. That is the platform. Now, coming to the platforms, I think we are getting into a very interesting age now where, internet has been very much consumer focused for the last 15 years. Now it will be very much industry focused.
That's a good point.
And when you produce, applications for the industry, you actually have to work with some corporates because they are the customers.
Should we say that Internet of Things? Is that what you mean? Or
Exactly.
Internet of Energy, or Internet of
Exactly.
M2M, or machine to machine?
So here, first you need to work with a customer,
Right.
and second, you will need a platform that will sustain your product. What we are doing, for example, let me do some, self-promotion. We developed this Predix platform where you can develop applications for industrial internet. It's optimized for, big data and industrial data. Through this platform, you have to get to the customers. Now, for Turkey, I think that's an opportunity because, as I said, for the consumer internet, our size was so-so. But if you can develop an application for the, let's say, Ford factory in Gölcük, that factory also has a similar one in Monterrey, Mexico.
Also,
in
like,
China.
also
So
energy.
it will be easily scalable. Similar for energy. Now, if our entrepreneurs look to these new case and these new customers and platforms, I think that's and there is a big opportunity. A lot of people are doing consumer internet. It's a very crowded space. Here, there is a big opportunity.
But a lot of people are afraid to go to corporations.
So you can come to us.
Are you guys afraid to go to corporations to present your ideas because then maybe that it's a culture thing
Yes.
too. It's a corporate culture has to change to be
Yes.
open and not so predatory or onerous. To then a poor startup comes to a corporation, huge corporation, first of all doesn't know how to call the
Yes.
partnership group. Then once they call, you go to a meeting with 25 people over there and you have your technology, you're afraid that they're going to steal
Yes.
your
I mean-
technology. And then they sometimes do. I know some big corporations who gobble up small. How is that going to change?
Well, it's a challenge. So you need to go. You need to know where to go. If you call the CEO, you'll never get a response. So you have to.
So we have to call you, the innovation leader.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So
You
look
have
for the
to call
innovation
me or
leaders.
similar people in other corporates if they have.
Yeah.
And then you have to be ready for a few things. One, very long cycles. It's not like consumer internet where you put your product on the App Store and people start to download. If you call me, I need to call many other people. They have to call many other people. It takes time. And this is everywhere. Second, yes, there is a risk of, idea may be stolen, but that's very rarely the case. No, I mean, these big corporations are, there are rules, there are,
Right.
compliance, etc. It's not, that's very rarely
And
the
if you
case,
have
so
a
you
good
shouldn't be
technology,
afraid of that.
if you have a good technology, then maybe it's harder to steal it. If you have a painkiller technology, if you have a
Exactly.
vitamin technology, maybe.
Exactly. And look, if these corporates were able to develop that, they would have developed it. Your advantage is the agility. So what we need is the agile entrepreneurs. If we can establish the cooperation well, then it will work. One last thing, I think one of the mistakes that entrepreneurs are always doing is the more important thing is the networks, the platforms, the customers, so they should look into these opportunities.
Absolutely. So I want to just, we have 2-3 minutes left. Maybe Burak or something. But any questions from you listening patiently and, clapping and everything? So can a successful company emerge out of other than Silicon Valley and what it needs? Or also, I want to ask at some point to Özgür from Mobilus also, because he's got a great technology, but is he having an easy time to get it out there and having? So first I'll take a question, then I'm going to ask a question to Özgür, and then I'll ask you guys to make some final comments, and then we're done. Then you can have a drink. Any questions? No questions? Really? Well, when you're thinking of your question, I'm going to ask Özgür, because I just met him there in video. Mobilus, your company. It looks like a great technology. I have no idea which stage you are, which you told me that you're finding customers in the US and so on. But do you feel, as a good technology company coming from Ortadoğu Middle East Technical University, do you feel like you've got enough support? You have access to money sources, mentorship sources? What's your feeling? Or what is needed?
Actually, I just flew in from San Francisco yesterday. I was there for the last 3 weeks. Basically, some of the hardships are one. You were talking about the market. It's like 80 million people. Is that not enough? It seems enough, but people don't really have a lot of disposable income. So I mean, if it doesn't matter if you have more people, they should also have money to spend on products. I mean, this is especially true for B2C products like us. So disposable income is very important.
Okay.
And another point is actually we have a lot of talented engineers which are great, but we don't have the people in the valley that, for example, they know how to build a community around your product. They know how to make a strategy. They know how to make a product market fit. we have lots of brilliant engineers, but we need more designers, we need more thinkers on that
So the
front.
talent pool is not as large as it would be somewhere
Yes,
like.
it's not diverse enough, so it's like
Right.
only engineers, and
Yeah.
obviously we have less access
Yeah.
to capital. That's
I
all.
see. Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Please, Fadi.
Just to comment about what makes successful companies and some of the things that I keep hearing that we are talking about in isolation in Turkey, as there are hubs and there are concentration in different cities and where activities for entrepreneurship happen. But the truth is, right now, entrepreneurship is a global movement, and companies could definitely start in Turkey, could focus and build market in Turkey, but this is not, the path is not necessarily to go to the Balkans and then go to, North. It's not to go in sequence. You're born global. You're born into a market, and if you position yourself, you could go and access the entire world. Your talent and your team is maybe big part of it, maybe in Turkey, another big part of it, maybe the base in the sales team, maybe in London. I mean, look at TransferWise, for example, from Estonia. This is an Estonian company, moved to London. They're part of Silicon Valley. They're transferring money all around the world. Their team is probably 50 nationalities at this point. So it's no longer a position where we could think and see that what we do for Turkey. What we do for Turkey is a lot what we've talked about in this panel and the previous, is allow the policies for the entrepreneur to operate freely.
Right.
Give more freedom for them to build businesses, to transact and remove the barriers and the faults for failing, and allow them to spread into a global market. Not even Europe, not even the Middle East, none of these issues, none of these regions that we imagine or we call them regions are defined by any borders. So
That's right.
that's the approach that I think
So
that I've
take a
seen many of the
take a
successful
global
companies.
view. Take a global
Yeah, they're
view.
looking at, you focus on solving a good problem in your sandbox. You figure out a good solution.
Yeah.
You start stretching and figuring
Actually,
out how to do it.
I'm involved, if I could give a piece of advice, I'm involved with a startup who's actually a very virtual startup like the one you're describing, where the product technology gets developed in the UK and the customers in the US and the developers in Tanzania and all of this. But they're not going to do they're not going to the Silicon Valley first because they know that the numbers are so different. In Silicon Valley, a little seed money could be 1 million. Whereas in here, the Series A could be 1 million, right? So numbers are, and this comes back to what Numan said before, you should compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges and stay in similar markets first and grow. Do you want to bring that up again? Because that was a really good point in the previous panel, where you, maybe if you're a Turkish company, maybe you'll go to a Middle East first as a market, because they're a similar market.
I mean, it depends
or
on
if
your
you
product.
raise
I mean,
funding-
we mentioned about Udemy and all that stuff. I mean, you need to know your market. If you are selling your product in Turkey, let's say, and then if your product matches the Turkish market, then going to the Middle East or Balkans will be easier than
Right,
going
right.
to the
Yeah.
US. I
Yeah.
believe that one.
Yeah.
So expanding regional is always much faster than going to the global. And also resources. You have to think about your resources. Yeah, it's easy to say that, yes, I can go to global, but you need to calculate. Some products may not work. For example, one of our portfolio company, Hotel Runner, they have 28,000 hotels and they're only 18 people, 18, 1-8, and under 17 different countries. They got these hotels, but
So
it's basically, it's different. I mean, depends on your product,
Yeah.
you can do the global, depends on your product, you need to do the
Yes,
regional, but
but
you
you
have to
don't-
understand that.
But you don't always have to open in Silicon Valley,
No.
right? I mean, you don't have to open an office in Silicon Valley. Because most entrepreneurs think that they have to think global, so therefore, they have to first open an office in Silicon Valley. That's not necessarily true, right? You can learn.
You
go
can
to
learn from
Black Box
everyone,
and learn
everything,
and then
yes.
come back.
Yeah, okay, done.
Right, I'm -4. 1 more minute. So if you guys, is there another question? No, please, last question. Yeah, last question. Okay, so we'll just, huh? What did you? Last question. Yeah. So could you please just summarize? What would you like to tell the tech entrepreneurs in the audience as to their success? What they should do next, or what they should be thinking about? Quickly, one sentence each, not not 3, 4, but.
Okay.
Musa.
If you are working on an interesting Internet of Things idea, come and find me.
IoT. Okay, IoT. Chad.
Actively seek mentors and people that can help you along your journey. There's a lot of people out there in the world who are willing and able to do so.
Numan.
I mean, you are working in an emerging market, and if you want to be successful, you have to have the minimum regional approach, not only the one single market.
Okay.
Right?
All right, well, we're -5. Thank you for the extra 5 minutes, and I hope you enjoyed the panel. Thanks, our panelists.